represent. Hey, hey, G-E-R. What else? What else? A-R-I-C-A. Come on, come on, come on. A-R-I-C. Just let's go. So let's dance now. It is my turn. Just want you. I am ready for your action. Just want you. You should cut off all distraction. It's all on you now. And just give me some reaction. Just want you. Girl, I like the way you move. Really wanna get with you.
It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchedu. Thanks a lot for joining us in what is very extraordinary times around the world. The coronavirus, COVID-19, is definitely all everybody's talking about. And I mean, we've speculated over the last couple of days and weeks on whether we should still continue this show. But I mean, I think it's essential that Robin Minds continues to do what it does best, which is sort of give information and make sure that everybody's aware of what they need to be doing at this time. As you can see, I'm here in the studio with a guest, but I mean, the guest is significantly distanced away from me, which I think is very important to note. The crew here at Channels Television are also very, very particular about observing, social distancing and doing all of the right things that we have been told to do to make sure that this pandemic, which is ravaging the country and the world, is sort of managed at this stage, which is, I think, what we're all trying to do. Today, we're going to be talking about all of the information that we need to know at this time. I have an infectious disease physician here with me, Ephraim Akashe. Thanks for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Good to be here.
So yes, first of all, thanks for coming, because I know that it's quite, for want of a better word, technical to get around these days with the lockdown, which is imposed in Lagos and Abuja. What have you seen since the lockdown has been imposed in Lagos? Now, I know it's not necessarily your field, but with regards to behavior of people, have you seen that has been sort of adhered to, and what you'll be looking forward to as a result of that?
Okay, thank you very much. So, well, in terms of the lockdown, I do get to go to work every day and all that. I do move around a lot, obviously. So, Lagos being what it is, I think there was expectation that, this is not going to work. Yes. But I think it has, worked fairly well. You see, the roads are quite clear. And although in the neighborhoods, you still see people coming out to cluster, which is an issue in itself. But to a general level, I think the aim, one major aim of the lockdown is being that there were levels of this dimension, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but one major aim has been achieved. Yeah.
So there's a lot of terms that people have gotten to know in the last couple of weeks, talking about social distancing, of course, flattening the curve. That's a very interesting phrase that a lot of people are now trying to understand. And I think it's what this lockdown is supposed to help a lot of countries do. Yeah. I'm talking of Nigeria in particular now, where we're probably getting to a peak with the numbers of infections, and hopefully we start to flatten the curve after that. Yeah. How far away are we, do you think, from this peak in Nigeria?
Yeah, so I think that really is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is clear about this outbreak so far? Well, there are stages of an outbreak. Let me so that people can understand what we're talking about. So there's the initial stage where you have a few cases. The aim at that time is to contain it, get all of them together and make sure it doesn't go into the community. Once it does get into the community, as much as possible, you want to slow down the number of people that get infection at once. Yeah. This is what overwhelms health systems. If everybody gets at the same time, it's going to be tough to deal with. So what you want to do is make sure that you reduce the number of people that have this infection per time. This is what this lockdown is supposed to do. Yeah. We know that there are infections going on in the community. Yeah. So what you want to do is keep people as much as possible apart from each other, so that those that have an infection will, recover. That's what it means to flatten the curve. Yeah. Flattening the curve on one part means reducing the number of people who have the infection at once. It's not so high. Yeah. But then, what flattening the curve, if you look at the curves, if everybody gets the infection at once, everybody gets sick at the same time, and we recover whichever way it is. But if you slow down, everybody may still get, a lot of people may still get infection, but it will take longer to clear but at least you have a manageable amount of people getting infection
Yeah.
per time. That way, health systems can
Yeah,
cope.
I asked that because there's a lot of beliefs and rumors that keep flying around, especially in Nigeria. I'm talking about our society in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, black people can't get this. Oh, it's not even in Nigeria. There's people who believe strongly that it doesn't. We don't have any cases in Nigeria, and government is just doing this to get money from the WHO. You say you've been going to work every day. I'm
Yeah.
sure you also have colleagues who are working directly with cases. What have you been seeing?
Okay, so I do, well, okay, well, it's not relevant here. What I can say authoritatively is that we have cases, and I've interacted with quite a number. We have Nigerians. Initially, we're having mainly foreigners, yeah, expatriates, or even Nigerians who are staying abroad and coming back. Now we're seeing cases who didn't travel, who didn't even get in touch with anyone who has traveled. So we know it's in the community. So the issue of black people not getting it obviously has gone through the window. The other issue we're talking about is weather could allow this to flourish. There is something to be said about the weather. How much of it is a factor, nobody knows. What we have seen so far is that the phenotype, the way the disease is presenting here is looking slightly different from how it's presenting elsewhere.
Okay.
Whether this is a true reflection or whether it is the case we're seeing is we're going to see. But what I've seen so far is that the ones we've seen have not presented the way people elsewhere have presented. So
Yeah.
maybe the weather has something to do, but it's still early days.
And age-wise as well, because there's a lot of people who believe that younger people don't get this, which is not a Nigerian myth or a Nigerian conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen all of the data saying, oh, even with the death rate,
Yeah.
there'll be fewer deaths under 50 and even fewer under, I think, 35 or 30,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So the younger you are, the more likely you are to survive. But is that a guarantee of being safe from it? I mean, what is the age range of people you think or you know that have been infected in Nigeria?
Okay, so that's the thing. I get asked this a lot. There's a difference between risk of getting infected and the risk of getting a severe infection.
Okay.
So everybody has the same risk of getting infected, young or old, same risk. But older people get to have more severe disease. So I have seen a 6-week-old baby get infected. I've seen an 11-year-old, 14-year-old. We have them currently. 16 years old, all ranges. The majority of those who have an infection that we're managing, the commissioner did give some of those studies, so it's out there in the open. But so we have a lot of people in the 30s, 40s having an infection. But I mean, it's so they don't have that. It's not too severe.
Yeah.
So so in terms of infection, everybody can have the infection. Anybody can have the infection.
There's a lot of people in Nigeria who believe we might have had this virus in December and January. There's a lot of people who had some severe form of a cold or a flu between December and January. They had a lot of these symptoms, and they believe that probably the wave came then and probably left. Is there any truth to that, you think?
Well, it is one of the theories that could scientifically explain. Like I said, we have not had the severe presentations others have had. So, to backtrack a little bit, we have had people, like you said, elderly people, those who have other conditions may have severe disease. Now we've had people who have had severe disease, who have conditions that you could have think, this is a bad problem, this is a bad issue, but they've done quite well. So that is there. Now, the fact that we are not doing too badly would suggest the question is that could it be that really we've had it circulating in our communities before we didn't know? We would know because, we didn't check. I did the truth of the matter. However, with the fact that, our people travel a lot, and in truth, if an infection is circulating in Nigeria, you're going to find it circulating in Europe or US in no distant time.
Yeah.
This was not picked there to suggest that, in December, quite a number of people came and went back.
Yes.
So if this was circulating here, there's a possibility, very strong possibility that it's going to be picked up elsewhere and traced back to Nigeria. That has not happened. Yeah. That's one. Two, the fact that all the strains, the species of the virus that have been isolated in Nigerians can be traced back to Europe and China probably indicates that they came from there, that we don't have anything, because viruses leave, what's the word now, footprints.
Yeah.
You can tell where this virus came from by the sequence. So there's nothing, you cannot rule it out, but so far we don't have anything to suggest that we had this circulating before now.
So we turn on the TVs every day. We hear ventilators, ventilators, ventilators is the recurring word. You know, even the Nigerian government has started saying, okay, we would. There was a conversation, I think, with Innocent Motors even saying we were ready to do that as well. I think ATBU, BUK, yes, also said they were going to try and produce them as well. So ventilators have become very key in the conversation, and everybody in the world is fighting for them. What's the situation in Nigeria right now? I know we don't have that many cases yet that are struggling for ventilators. But the fear is that if it gets there, what's going to happen?
So it's so with coronavirus, that's the thing, because most people that do that. So in terms of what we have at the moment, the answer is clear. We don't have enough ventilators, and this, it's that. Now, what this outbreak has done is to show us for what it has shown every system what every system really is. Not only the ability, what you had, but the ability to ramp up responses. And that is what has differentiated China and elsewhere from countries like ours. So with what we have at the moment, you have a few in Lagos, where you have the largest amount of ventilators in the country. The estimates say we don't have enough. Luckily or fortunately for us, like you rightly said, we don't have people who need it yet. If we do get there, it's really, really going to be a big issue. And this is probably one of the biggest determinants of survival or not when people do get to that level of this. So it's understandable why there's a lot of discussion around whether ventilators and all that.
Let's talk about the discharge numbers now. I think as a last count, I think we have about 20 Nigerians who have been or 20 people in Nigeria who have been discharged. And it sparked up a couple of conversations amongst Nigerians wondering, but I thought there's no cure. How are they being discharged? What happened to them? What did they do? So how does that discharge happen? What happens with these patients that gets them discharged? And what was done right with them that can be done right with others?
Okay, so maybe I will just get through a summarized pathway of how our process works. So when people do come to hospital and get admitted, we classify them into those who have mild disease and those who have severe disease. What is common to all of them is, like the commissioner said this a few years ago, the test, you use a PCR to diagnose this. After that diagnosis, the same test that was done to diagnose, we keep repeating it over and over to measure how much of the virus is in the body. Is it coming down or is it not coming down? And you keep doing that until you get two results that consecutively say it is negative. You then discharge. Now, what are the things that can help this virus go down? Well, the biggest determinant of what makes the virus become negative is that individual's own immunity. The body is well able to fight this virus. It's not a bad virus. I mean, it's just that it went everywhere all at once. So the body's immunity is the biggest determinant.
The body is able to fight it.
The body is able to fight it. So in large number of cases, all you want to do is to support the body while the body is doing its own work by itself. In fact, most cases, this is what happens. Now, the immune system is very interesting. It's an intelligent system. It learns as it goes along. So the elderly people that don't do so well, what happens is because the immune system has learned and is so aggressive in fighting the infection. It is the body's immune system that causes most of the disease processes. It's not really the virus itself. It's the body trying to fight that. And so most people that their fighting is too strong is what causes disease in them. When the fighting is just mild and happy in younger children, they don't do so badly. So it's the body's immune system that eventually does take care of this infection.
We've all been waiting for this good news about a cure, and President Trump seems to be the flag bearer of this chloroquine, march for it to be a cure. And we first heard the chloroquine talk, I think, from China before it even became a global pandemic. America is doing their best, and I think even Nigeria as well. I heard the NAFDAC is also trying to see what they can do with approving it for treatment. You know, how did the chloroquine conversation even start? For what we thought was a flu. And how close are we to hopefully getting that sort of giving the final approval to say, okay, we can use this to fight this.
Okay. So the thing with chloroquine and most of the other drugs that are used for for COVID now started with the cousins. You know, we've had SARS and MERS-CoV before. So people tried that with them, you know, and they saw that it did work. So most of the drugs that were touted as possibilities for this infection was from experience with those other viruses.
Okay.
Now, there's a little bit of caution with public, why Trump did, and if you notice, the authorities in the US quickly came out to say, you know what, be careful there. It's not as if it's all done and everything. The evidence is not all tight and sealed. So there's something to be said about, there's what we call randomized trials. Trials means if you have two people, one has COVID, another one also has COVID, you don't do any bias. Are you sure that all the other factors that determine survival have been taken out of the game, and the only explanatory factor is that drug? If you can answer this question, then you can say this drug has proof.
Yeah.
But there are other issues that determine survival. What was the underlying immunity? What was the severity of disease? How old was he compared to this one? If you can take all of that, for example, take the same age here, put the same age here. Take the same underlying conditions here, put them here. Make everything the same. Make the same race, same background, same immunity, same socioeconomics, and then give one chloroquine. You can say, okay, everything else is the same. The only thing that's different is this one had chloroquine, this one didn't have. Until you do that, you don't have evidence to say this is what it is. And at the moment, we don't have that evidence.
So we're still far from that.
We're not too far. There's a study going on, but we don't have it yet.
Yeah.
Until that's concluded.
Still talking about discharge patients now. We hear a lot in Hong Kong. I think they've shut down the country again because they wiped it out.
Yeah.
Now there's a second wave that came back and the country is shut down again. We've heard reports about China as well. People who tested positive, tested negative, then are testing positive again. So
Yeah.
and I've also heard stories about people being immune after catching it. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of confusion. Are you actually immune after catching it, and why are people testing positive again after testing negative?
After testing
so what
negative. Yeah. So there are two reasons for this. One of them, the major one, has to do with the biology of viruses. I don't know how much I can get into here, but the simple way of putting it is that viruses, as they give birth to new children, the children don't exactly look like those viruses. They're slightly different.
So they mutate, basically.
Yeah, something like that. There's error in the way viruses replicate. So the next virus, after 2 generations later, the same coronavirus, but a slightly different strain comes back. Because the immune system is very intelligent, it was trained specifically for this one. If a slightly different strain comes, it could cause another infection, which is why flu does cause infections every year, because no matter how long your experience with getting flu, every new year you're going to get, we know now, somebody's flu is possible because they are not exactly the same. So this is a possibility. The second one is, which we have not yet answered, is how much immunity is built up after an infection. Infections are different in this aspect. There are some infections that can build long-lasting immunity. Some don't. For COVID, we're still learning about how much immunity really is built up after that, in terms of if you come back with the same strain, can it still infect the same person based on how much immunity he has built up. The third factor I think involved in this is the fact that there's evidence to show that even after recovery, some people still shed little amounts of viruses in their system. So if something happens to them, the immunity, it can trigger it back up again. So these are all things that we explain that. But what is sure, like you said, at population level, not individuals now, at population level, rebounds are occurring, and we need to know why that is so that we prevent further occurrences.
Oh, so many questions. People,
Yeah.
I think even the medical personnel are still asking these questions.
Definitely.
And hopefully as the days unfold, we'll continue to get some answers to them. But we'll have to take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll continue to talk about COVID-19 and its impact here in Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Say, hey, hey, G, hey, E, we represent, hey, hey, G, E, what else, C, come on, C, just let's go, so let's dance now, it is my turn, just want you, I am ready for your action, just want you, you should cut off all distraction, it's all on you now.
All right, welcome back. We're still here talking about COVID-19, the coronavirus, which is ravaging the entire world. And of course, Nigeria is the economic hub. Lagos is on lockdown, as well as its national capital, Abuja, and Ogun State. We're going to be joined now by someone who's doing quite a bit with regards to COVID-19, reaching out to her fans and playing her role as a celebrity, Toyin Abraham, who is on lockdown at home, I believe. Toyin, how are you doing, if you can hear me? Can you hear me? How are you doing?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Ebuka.
How are you doing? You've been at home now, I believe, for a couple of weeks. How long have you been on lockdown for? Before the federal government imposed theirs?
Immediately we had the rumor about someone being at the AMVCA. After the AMVCA, I went for a job. So after the job, I was supposed to start another job. So we heard that someone at AMVCA had COVID-19. So I just had to cancel the job and stay home.
You're going on 3 weeks now. So this is probably, you're used to this at this point, isn't it?
But it's fine. I'm not bored. I'm enjoying it. It's all right. It's not easy though, but what are we going to do? It's for the safety of everybody. So we just need to.
There's always a lot of talk about, celebrities playing their parts in times like this. And I know there's sometimes pressure even from fans. Do you feel the pressure sometimes, to have to speak up in times like this? And do you feel like celebrities have a responsibility to do that?
I don't get pressurized to do things, Ebuka. I just do whatever I'm supposed to do, and I do the right thing. But obviously, I have people I look up to. I have people I listen to. So I feel in times like this is when our fans need us more. This is when they need us most, and because coming to our page, they can only hear the reliable. Our page will only be reliable source for them. And me myself, I got in touch with NCDC myself that okay, I want to do this for them because I know that I've got a lot of fans and people will listen to me so that I can get verified news, verified information. So I think this is the best time that we can give back to the society. We can give back to our fans. Everything is not about money. How many people am I going to give money to? I think giving them the best information, verified information, this is the best time I can give to my fans.
Yeah, but you've also done quite a bit besides just sharing information. I know you did something recently in Osun State. Can you help us just take us through what happened there?
It's not only Osun State. I did in Ogun State, that's Abeokuta. I did in Kwara State, Ilorin. I did in Oyo State, Ibadan. I did twice in Lagos, like I did in Lagos, around Lagos, and I did in Ibafo. Then I did in Kano. I just feel, we don't have to wait for our Messiah. We can actually be our own Messiah. And I feel that's just part of the little way which I can reach out to people since I have little resources with me. So.
But let's go back to you now and what you do for a living, which is of course acting and entertainment, and several jobs, and everybody's just locked down like we know, and the entire world is basically shut down at this point. How do you see this affecting the business that you do going forward?
Yeah, it's really affecting. It's not easy, but what are we gonna do? My movie was supposed to be in cinema 2 days ago. That's on the 3rd of April. I had to cancel my premiere. We already sold Ashwebi. I was even going to bring you Ashwebi, So we had to cancel everything, and it's a whole lot of investment. I've invested a lot, but what are we gonna do? Safety first. It's when you are safe, when you're okay, when you're alive. That's when you can spend money. That's when you can work. You understand? Yoruba will say something. They will say, that means you can still do a lot of job. Even when we don't work now, we're still going to work.
Listen, are you worried about the future? Are you worried about, how things will turn out in the future?
Yeah, a little bit, because I know the world will never be the same again. But I just hope it's going to be in a positive way. Because right now, there is nobody that can tell you what is going to happen next. The same way we didn't see this coming. So there's nobody that's going to say what's going to happen next. So I'm a little bit scared, but it's 50-50 because it's not just about me alone or my family alone. It's about the whole world. So obviously, it's just 50-50, but we'll get through. We'll get through.
Mentioned there about, using your platform and, contacting the NCDC so that you can share verified information. And that's one thing that a lot of people have complained about with fake news in this time. I mean, we're all on WhatsApp. We've seen all of these broadcasts that keep flying every day about, what is and what is not, You are quite social media savvy. Some of these, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things that have worried you. And how do you handle like this false information when it gets to you?
That was the main reason why I reached out to NCDC myself. I was the one that reached out to them myself. I told them that, okay, yeah, because I realized that fake informations are more. So I'm like, okay, I sent a message to Denola Green because I saw it on his page. So he told someone who is Dr. Coyote. So Dr. K now reached out to me because I told them I'm interested. All they need to do is send me verified information and let me put it on my page. You understand? It doesn't cost me anything because I know that's the only thing I can give to my fans and people and Nigerians in general, So I think through my page and few other people and a lot of celebrity are really doing a lot. So I think we're trying our best to curb the fake news. And because we can actually do we can't do much, so we can only do what we can do.
Very, very true. Like you said, you've been on lockdown for quite a while now, and there's a hashtag stay at home. Government has told us to remain at home, at least for another week for now. We don't know if it's going to be extended. Have you seen that people have obeyed that? I mean, people around you, maybe your estate, people you live with. How strong has this stay at home been for people around you?
People around me are really obeying because you can't even be around me and not listen. And not to obey because the fact that I'm one of the people putting information out there, you have to listen. And people around me, but there's little you can only talk to people. You understand that, okay, don't do this, do this. But in my estate, yes, you can't even, if anybody is coming to look for you, nobody's even coming. Everybody's indoor. So I can say in my estate around me, okay, yes, we are really, really, really coping and we are listening to the instruction and we are following the instructions very well.
Okay, I'll come back to you. I just wanted to talk with the doctor who we still have in the studio here. I just wanted to find out, because this social distancing, a lot of people don't understand why it's important. So and we've talked to her now. She's been at home. A lot of people are staying at home. Why is it that important? Because most people feel like, how long are we going to be at home for? Okay, if we stay at home for after 2 weeks, then we come back, then what happens? How important is this and why is it important?
Okay, so there are two major reasons why social distancing is so important. It all boils down to flattening the curve, like you rightly said, but there are two reasons why this happens. The first one is people who are being infected, whether they are showing the symptoms or not, need a week or two to process this and the immune system to control the viral infection. You need that to happen without them transmitting to the next person. So social distancing interrupts the chain. This transmission is a chain. Yeah. It interrupts the chain of transmission. This is so important. This is probably the number one thing that social distancing does. The number two thing the distancing does is it allows, so as a community, we are infected together because infection in one member of the community is a potential threat to the whole community. Now, if out of a community of 50 or 100 people, let's say 60 or 70, one way or another, get an infection, let's say they get the infection, there was community transmission, then you said everybody stay in your houses, and they went and stayed in the houses, they don't transmit further. They are going to have a sizable number of people who don't get the infection. They're still vulnerable. But what happens at community level is that when people get socially distanced and those that have the infection recover and build some level of immunity, no matter how little that immunity is, because we discussed on whether immunity is effective or no matter how little it is, together as a group, you protect those ones that have not had the infection before. Yeah. So they call that herd. Herd is a group of, and they call it herd immunity. Together, you have the immunity. So even if that infection gets to reintroduce back into that community a year or so later, it's not going to be huge anymore. It's just one or two that. So this is the second real benefit of what social distancing does.
And there are people who believe that until we have a vaccine or a cure, this might be the norm. And people we are here in a year to 18 months. Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
So this is our reality for a while.
For some months. Now, this probably why this pandemic is so it's so that is because there was another pandemic in 2009. People didn't even know. I mean, it didn't interrupt anything. People were just going about that. But it did, this here we are, almost crippled and all that. So progress on vaccine development is fast. But as it is, you first identify the appropriate piece of the organism you need to use for the vaccine, because you need to be careful that the vaccine you give does not cause infection itself. Vaccines have the ability to do this.
Yeah.
So to perfect that and to make sure that the reactions from the vaccine do not cause worse disease than, that you need to take your time. And you're not giving just one person, you're giving to the whole community. If you get it wrong, your cure will become more troublesome than the disease itself. To prevent. And this is one thing you don't want to do in medicine as a rule. Yeah.
But let's go back to Tony now. Tony Abraham, who's of course joining us while she's safely locked up at home. I wanted to find out, I mean, the Lagos State government has done quite a bit with regards to giving out food materials and relief materials to Lagosians, and a lot of people have had mixed reactions to that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that with regards to doing that and what exactly has been done, like the number of things or the kinds of foods that we're giving to people.
I really do not know about it, but the little I've seen on social media, I saw a lot of people, I think they got the food, but they said it wasn't enough. But I really do not know much about it. I only saw it. I knew that our governor said he was going to give out food to people. And I saw on social media, I saw a lot of people got the food. I saw some people were complaining. But it's always like that. Even when you give things, there are people that will complain, there are people that will appreciate. So it's always like that. But I don't really know much about it.
You have over 4 million followers on social media, so I'm sure you get quite a barrage of messages, of requests. So you kind of know what Nigerians are feeling right now. I can't imagine what your DMs or your page is like, So how do you handle that?
Like 2 days ago on my Twitter page, I'm like, God, sue me, like I'm tired. Once I tweet like this, the next thing is account, we are hungry. I've not eaten since day before yesterday. I've not eaten since 3 years ago, even on my Instagram page. But fine, apart from the ones I'm doing in states, I've been able to send some few things to some people. But they need to understand I can't do everything alone. I can only do little. You understand? But it's not easy. And I understand, some people, it is easy for people like us because we have people we can call on that. But there are some people don't even have anyone they will call on. Yeah. You understand? So it's not easy. And some people, what they do is they live on daily basis. Do you understand? They live on daily basis. Whatever they make, that's what they you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not really easy, which I understand. But it's better for us to be safe. It's better for us to be safe. It's better for us to be alive. So we know that we'll scale through, but I just feel we just need to adapt a little bit to this.
That's actually been the fear for a lot of people, because as much as people understand the need for this, I mean, most people have said that Nigeria is not financially equipped to handle a stay at home that's this long. People are worried, are we going to be able to do another week? And there's already insinuations that they might extend it for even another week again. So I don't know, how are you feeling about, the Nigerian situation? We are not a country that, like you said, can last that long without working on a daily basis.
How do I feel about what?
About the lockdown probably being extended, even how Nigerians will be able to cope with it?
The thing is, I think the government know better than us, and we have to listen to them. I have a lot of friends outside the country. I have a lot of doctor friends. My brother-in-law is a doctor, and he's a doctor in Canada. You see all those things, I think we are not really taking this COVID-19. We're not taking it seriously. And I think it's a very serious thing. Trust me, it is. So it's just better. I think I have to beg everybody. We just have to cope. We have to manage whatever. So sometimes it's even better you do 101 than doing 1-1. Maybe your meal. It's better for us to just manage. Let us scale through. It's just for the meantime. We have to manage. We won't bear everybody. We just have to manage. It's better to be alive. If we are not alive, because this thing is a terrible thing. It's not about you or your family alone or yourself alone. It's about everybody. So whatever you do, the decision you make would affect everybody. So I'm begging on everybody, let's just adapt. I know it's not easy. I know it's difficult. It's not easy for me as well. But I feel we should just adapt. We should try.
You also, you're very, you're never afraid, if I want to use those words, to, call on God most times where you work, you win awards, even on your page, you always talk about, they need to pray and pray and pray. And religious centers are closed now. Churches, mosques are all shut down at this time, and Nigerians feel like, that's the one place they usually go to sort of get answers or comforts, and we don't have that right now. And that seems very tough for a lot of people to understand. So I don't know, how are you coping, without, having your religious sort of center to go to, and what do you have to say to Nigerians to be able to go through this without, that?
Ebuka, whatever thing about religion, I tell people it's just your faith. It's faith. Everything has to do with faith. My faith is with God. He has been with me during my dark times. He has never failed me. I'm sure he has never failed you too. You understand? But everything has to do with faith. It's my faith, and it works for me. So I know that everybody, yes, obviously, everywhere is locked down. We can't go to church. We can't go to mosque. But obviously, we still have faith. Whatever you believe in, whatever you believe in, keep calling whatever name you believe in or whatever God you believe in. I believe in Almighty God. I believe in Jesus, and I have faith in Him. And I'm not afraid to say it anywhere in the world. And my faith is working for me.
So we'll come back to you. I want to speak again with the doctor here in the studio. Something I asked earlier and I'm still trying to figure out, because this flattening of the curve is a big part of the entire conversation, is why we are locked at home, is what we're trying to get to flatten, and numbers are very important to people. We hear all of these crazy numbers around the world. Countries like America are going over 300,000 cases at this point, with tens of thousands of deaths as a result of COVID-19. Thankfully, we're not there yet. There's talk about the fact that we're not testing enough. And to flatten the curve, we hear that you have to have enough testing to know the real situation of things. And with Nigeria, it doesn't seem like we're doing it with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but from what I've heard, we've not tested up to 1,000 people even, which is a little weird considering places like South Africa are here at over 20, 30,000 tests already. Germany is going close to doing 1 million tests a week now. America is doing about 100,000 tests a day, and we haven't done up to 1,000. Cumulatively. I mean, doesn't that worry you? And shouldn't that worry people?
Well, it should. It should. So the thing with the test kits has to do not just with your resources to buy. But it's not. There are not enough test kits to go around. So countries that produce them first have to, meet their own needs before they start giving it to other people. So it is really, and like you rightly said, to flatten the curve. You have to detect the cases and control them. If you're not testing, you don't know the true dynamic of the infection within the population. So we are giving conservative estimates another week or so, but the truth of the matter is so long as you're still having new infections, you truly cannot give a go ahead to open up.
All right, let's go back to Toyin and just get a final word. Toyin Abraham, thanks a lot for being with us today. You've been very, thanks for all that you shared with us. But just any final words you want to share with anybody who's watching and your fans?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody, please move forward back, baby. Education government so easy. I know it's not easy. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard, but it's better to be safe. Do you understand? It's better for us to listen to them. They know better than us. We have a lot of doctors. I know it's not easy. I know it's difficult, but let's just listen to them for the meantime. It's just going to pass. It's a phase. It's going to pass. And I know by the time everything is over, so I'm begging you, let's maintain proper hygiene. Let's wash our hands properly like this. Wash it properly. Go front, go back, make sure you wash your nails. Social distancing is very good. Please, let's listen to them. Let's stay indoor. Let's help our health workers. They are doing a lot to keep us safe. Please, I am begging you, move along. Please. And thank you all for supporting me always. I love you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Toyin Abraham, for joining us. It's been very enlightening, and thanks for all that you're doing with regards to helping with the fight against COVID-19. We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll still be talking about the coronavirus in Nigeria. Don't go away.
We represent.